Okay, guys, we're gonna wait for some more time because a lot of people have to join. So yeah, so give me like about 1 or 2 minutes, or I will start the live in a bit. So I'm gonna start it off right now. Welcome to my workshop, guys. I've received a lot of comments and replies, thinking that people are thinking this workshop is about hacking Wi-Fi securely. Well, it's not about that. I mean, there is nothing called hacking Wi-Fi securely. It's about hacking secure Wi-Fi networks, as the thumbnail suggests, right? So we're going to start it off right now. Just as an introduction to hacking secure Wi-Fi networks, so I'm just gonna go really basic on the basic tools, so or you guys can understand in depth about how hackers use these basic tools, right? So a little bit about me. Um, my name is Mohit, and right now I have just completed my second year computer systems at Hertford University, Dubai campus. I'm enrolling into year three, BSc Computer Science in the same campus. So, and my basic interests are AI, coding, cybersecurity, and I'm a lot into design as well. So, yeah, that's about me. Now, okay, before we start, I just want to tell you guys that this stream it's only for educational purposes. Do not try this on any network that you do not have authorization to. Do it only to networks that you have authorization to, and suppose like your own network or a neighbor's network, provided you have their permission. Because it's highly illegal if you do it without their permission. So yeah, so let's start off the stream. Right. So in this stream, I'm going to use certain um, technical terms, such as these ones. Start off with this. So for network adapter, right? When we start off the hack, we have to switch our network interface mode. We usually use managed mode, right? The two different modes are monitor and managed. We usually use managed mode to connect to networks from our phones or from our laptops. Now, the one that we are going to use is monitor mode. Monitor mode is just reconnaissance of networks. Reconnaissance as in just listening to all the networks that are around you. And manage mode, like I said, is just connecting to those networks, right? And using them. In monitor mode, you cannot connect to that network, you can just listen to them. So it's either or. And for this hack, I have used the network adapter, which is inbuilt in my system. I did not purchase anything outside. I would be using monitor mode or managed mode, right? So for the hack, I completely use monitor mode. And that's the reason I have recorded the hack and I'm going to show it to you. I'm not going to do it live. Right. Before I actually explain how we crack a network, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the four-way handshake. Okay, it's just a bit of theory. So, what is a four-way handshake, right? Now, now, for us, computers, laptops, phones, and all, how we connect to that network. How does a router know that you are the legitimate user? How does it authenticate? That is the process. Most people think that just connecting our station, that is our computer or our phone, to that, just type in the password and that is sent to the router, and that's it. People think that is how you connect to that network. That is partly true. There are four steps in the whole process. And the first step is sending a password, a hash, to that access point. A hash is simply, it's nothing but the password converted into an encrypted format, that which it is sent to the access point, right? The station, the user types in the password in text format, it's converted to hash and sent to the access point. Now the access point has this password in the hash format also, does not have it in true text format for obvious reasons. And when both the hashes are correct, then step number 1 is complete and moves to step number 2. Right. So the second step is identification. Right. So the access point sends an identification key to the station. Now this identification key is required by the station to create a special ID. This special ID is created using that identification key that is sent by the access point. And now this special ID is sent back to the access point. Right. This is the final step in which with this ID that the station provided to the access point, it's going to create a temporary key. It's called a transient key, which it reveals that key to the station so that the station can actually connect to that network. Now usually there are only 4 steps, but then there is an optional 5th step where the station just replies back to the access point saying that thank you, I'm into the network, right? So this is how a handshake process actually works between a station, that is your phone or laptop, and an access point, which is your router, right? That's about it. Now that was the complete theory part. Let's just go now into the crack, the theory of the crack. So do you guys have any doubts about the theory right now? If you guys have any doubts throughout the stream, you can just put it up on YouTube chat, and I'll just reply as it goes. Okay, so the installation. Now how the script that I have used throughout the crack, or using for the crack, is the lazy script framework, right? This framework consists of a lot of tools, not just for Wi-Fi hacking. As you can see, there are a lot of tools. And for this stream, I've used the handshake tool for cracking networks, and I'm going to use really basic tools so that you can understand better. Right, so let's go. How do we start the crack? There are 5 important steps, and they're on like the handshake, the authentication, and dictionary-based brute force cracking. Those 3 are the main steps from these important steps, right? So the first one is getting a handshake using AIRMON-g. Okay, AIRMON-g is a tool that is used to capture that handshake. Now I'll explain what this handshake is, right? So like before, we're using a similar diagram. So there is the access point and then there's the station, right? The same way the 4-way handshake that I explained before is going to happen between the station and the access point. But now the tweak here is that there's a hacker in between. This hacker is going to listen passively. It's just going to listen to all the process that's going to happen between the station and the access point. And when the station receives the temporary key from the access point, the hacker will capture the handshake successfully. Now this handshake is imperative for the rest of the crack to progress. So yeah, that is the handshake part. Now capturing handshake actually requires a monitor mode. So that is the reason why we are switching into monitor mode from managed mode. In the start when I explained about wireless interface modes. So yeah, so then the second part is deauthenticating. Now in this process, capturing a handshake only happens when a station is connected to an access point, right? Or when the station is trying to connect to an access point. Now when the hacker is in between, the hacker does not know if a station or if a person is just going to try and connect to the router, right? It could take days, or maybe there's no one in the network and no one's trying to connect to that network. So there is a process of deauthentication. Deauthentication is when the hacker would send deauthenticating packets to the target access point, and the access point would send those deauthenticating packets to the target devices. And deauthentication is basically just kicking people off the network, right? So when you have a phone, when you're using a phone and somehow theoretically you get the authentication packets, you just get kicked out of the network, when you get kicked out of the network, the first thing your phone would do is try to reconnect, right? Because because your password is already saved on your phone. So then when you're trying to reconnect is when the hacker would come in and listen to the handshake process, and the station nor the access point would actually know that there's a hacker passively listening to this. Now, if you're just listening to this without deauthenticating the user, it's passive. It's a passive manner. But if you're not ready to wait for a person to connect and deauthenticate a person and then do it, it's actively capturing a handshake. Right. Now, this is one of the main parts because it actually takes a lot of time to capture a handshake. It can take a couple of days, maybe even a couple of weeks to capture a handshake, depending upon number of active clients in that network. So the next part is, suppose we capture a handshake, right? What happens next? Now there are a lot of scripts within Handshake as well inside the lazy script framework. So you don't need to install things separately. That's the reason we're using a framework in the first place. So it auto checks for a WPA handshake. Right now, a handshake file extension is called a .cap file. So I'm going to be using the word cap file a lot during the brute force process. So it's going to auto check for the handshake, and after you get a valid handshake found message, it's going to do an integrity check, right? So an integrity check is basically um, to check if the quality of the handshake is good. Now, suppose it's not, then it would be harder to actually crack the network using the brute force tools that we'll be using. Right, after all of that is done, that you have captured a really good handshake, good quality, valid one. Next is, this would be one of the harder parts in terms of time, because it actually takes a lot of time to crack a password using this method. Now we'll be using AirCrack-ng. AirCrack-ng is the tool which actually does the brute force part of the crack. Brute forcing is just throwing in values from a text file, right? A text file. This text file consists a dictionary of words, right? It could carry any word. It could carry any word, and it could carry any number of words. So it just uses a basic dictionary based attack against that cap file. That is the handshake file. So that is brute forcing, and now I'm going to show you exactly how the crack works in detail. I have recorded it because it's not actually, I can't actually do the live stream and the crack at the same time. So do you guys have any other questions related to the theory part till now? If you guys have any questions about how it works, I'm going to show you right now. So any other questions, you could just type up on the chat. So I'm just gonna wait for like a minute. Okay, so I don't think you guys have any doubts about this, right? Either I'm explaining it good or you guys didn't understand anything. I hope it's the first one. Okay, so yeah, again, please read the disclaimer on the description below. Do not do this on unauthorized networks. It's highly illegal, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead with the crack. Welcome to the Lazy Script Framework. As you can see, this is how it starts off. Now you can read the terms of use. This tool is only for educational purposes, and do not try this on any other network without permission. And if you do not have authorization, do not do that. It is highly illegal, as said in the disclaimer. Now I'm going to try this on my own network and under my own responsibility, so I'm going to click in yes. As we've already seen in the previous part of the stream, there are two different modes, managed and monitor mode. Now most managed modes have a default name of WLAN 0. So I'm just going to click enter, as that is a default. And now monitor mode, the default is WLAN 0 mon, and we do not actually require the Ethernet connection for this, but it requires the name. So I'm just going to click enter, as the default it's 0. Now I do not want to change it. Right, this is the lazy script framework. It has a lot of tools. Unlike not just the Wi-Fi cracking tools, it has tools for spoofing mails, it has tools for auto exploitation of a browser, it has tools regarding SQL map automating, brute force login to check the database integrity of a website, and it has tools to scan for ARP scans, to start and stop a monitor mode, to change your MAC address before hacking. So for now, we are going to focus on the Handshake tool, which is provided by the Lazy Script framework. So I'm just going to type in 10 and click enter. Now we are moving to new terminal. We do not need this terminal, so I'm just going to minimize that. Now this is the Handshake menu. We're going to work as per the numbers listed. So the first thing is scanning the networks nearby. Right, so I'm just going to click on 1 and enter. Great, now I want to scan all the channels. So now it's scanning all the channels under monitor mode, not managed mode. Now I'm going to scan until I find my own network. Great, so I captured my own network, and as you can see, all the other networks are blurred out, and my network, I can find my own network. The one in blue is an open network, as said in the legend, because it's a printer, so of course it has an open network. And I found my own network, and it is color coded as per the number of active clients. I'm going to click in 19, which is the number corresponding to the name of the network. I'm going to click enter. Great, so now I have to enter the name of the Handshake file, which I would be needing for the data process for brute forcing. Now this is the deauthentication menu. The deauthentication menu is required to deauthenticate any clients out of a network. There are two scripts which can be run under the Lazy Script framework, which is AIRMON-g and MDK3. Now deauthentication happens by selectively deauthenticating some clients or all the clients. Now as per the certain new security definitions, the router would understand if continuously deauthentication packets are sent via the network, so it might stop the process, and therefore deauthentication periodically is done, which is harder, which gives a hard time for the network or for the access point of the router to find out if deauthentication packets are sent or it's just normal traffic. So now I'm going to use AIRMON-g as I have demoed with it, and it's pretty good. So I'm just going to click in 1 and enter. And I'm going to send infinite amount of deauthentications this time. I'm just going to click enter as default 0 value. Now this is the deauthenticating menu. It found a network, a client, and it is sending infinite deauthentication codes to that network, and it just waits to hear a WPA handshake. This handshake is captured when the station is trying to connect back to the network. Now I cannot stay here all day to see if we found a WPA handshake, so I'm going to auto check if a handshake is found. I'll be clicking 6 and enter, and I'm going to put up an interval of 5 seconds, and every 5 seconds is going to check if a handshake is captured. Now this is the auto check for handshake window, and suppose a WPA handshake is captured, it's going to end up right there, around there, with the SSID. Alright, so finally I found my handshake. It took about 2 minutes for me to find it. It was targeting my own device, and it was sending infinite amount of deauthentication packets. And my phone was trying to reconnect, and I went and physically tried to reconnect back to the network, and I captured the handshake. And this is how it is usually done, and the client wouldn't even know that someone was trying to send deauthentication packets. Now I'm going to move over to the deauthentication menu, and I'm going to check the quality of my handshake. I can check it via Pirate or Copati. Both the scripts are under the Lazy Script framework. I'm going to go ahead with Copati, so I'm going to click 2 and enter. Great, so my handshake was found. Now I don't need any of these windows, so I'm just going to Control C all of them. Alright, so I can go back, and I can go back to the handshake menu. Right, now I'm quitting. I'm going to capture the handshake. It's going to check again. That's kind of part of the process, and I'm going to clean my handshake, which is step number 5. And this cleaning part is not exactly done properly, so I'm going to do it, research and do it again. Wait. So now we're done with scanning, done with capturing, we're done with verification and cleaning, not exactly, but almost done. And now we're going to go ahead with brute force. We're going to use aircrack. Now aircrack is AirCrack-ng is the tool that we are going to use in order to brute force the password. Now that the cap file is with us, saved on our system, we do not need to connect or to be within the Wi-Fi presence of that network. So we can go ahead and aircrack. Now aircrack is a traditional simple brute force tool that you just given a set of words, a word list in a text file. It can be any amount of words, and it just tries to crack using all those words. And suppose it goes to the end and does not find, it's just going to say it's just going to skip that word file. And it's going to give up. But this time, for the sake of the stream, I have put in the password of my own network at the end of the file, and we're going to try and see how long it's going to take to crack to scan all the files and figure out if it finds the password. Let's go ahead and click in 3 and click enter to aircrack. We're going to use the file that we just captured. And now I'm going to find the name of the file which is in my root. As you can see, root word lists. So I'm just going to switch my desktop to find out the name of the file exactly. Alright, so we found it. I'm going to switch back and type in the name of the word file. Oh, it was right there on top. I did not see that. My bad. Okay, now it's done. Now this is the fun part. Now it takes care of everything for us. We don't need to do anything. We just have to keep a look on it. And if we did, and if the script does find, it's going to shout in a key found message, and that would tell us that the key is that the Wi-Fi network has been cracked. And yeah. So now let's talk about exactly how to find words or certain passwords from the network, from the internet. So what I did was there are certain websites which do deal with this every year or on a monthly basis. Certain databases which are cracked, if those databases do use really weak or medium level passwords, those databases can be cracked, and those certain passwords which are used or certain passwords which came out of the crack are compiled into one whole text file, and it is put on the net for every month. So you could use this file in order to check if the same password has been used for any other network. So I'm just going to fast forward the whole air cracking thing because it's going to take some more time. Alright, so right now I found my password. I put the password at the end of the file just so that you know that 400,000 keys, about 400,000 keys have been scanned in under 4 minutes, about 4 minutes give or take. So you can say about 100,000 words in a span of 1 minute, which isn't a great speed, but this is the introduction into hacking or cracking WPA networks. I have chosen the most basic tool that hackers use to crack a network, which isn't actually reliable because you cannot always find the same password which has been leaked in some other database. The odds of you using the same password is very low, so it's not that easy or reliable to use this tool. And there are certain other tools which can crack a low to medium secure networks, and that even might even take days or even months. And it is reliable, but it's time taking. So later in the future I might take a video or a stream on that, and yeah, let's see how it goes. Alright guys, so that is the hack. We have completed the hack successfully, and see you guys in the next one. Alright, so there you go. That was the crack. We completed it. Now, if you guys have any questions regarding the crack process, you can just type in. I have got some, but they're not exactly related to that to the crack. So yeah, if you guys have any questions related to that, you can just type in here. And yeah, the other thing that the other thing that I missed out before was the operating system that I used for the crack is Kali Linux, right? I tried installing the script on my Windows computer, but it did not work. So I recommend you guys that in case you want to try this out, you can download Kali Linux, or you could get a Raspberry Pi. Uh, Either of them should work, right? Um, so, guys, do you guys have any questions related to the theory part or the the practical crack? Please go ahead and ask. Right. Um, as I said before, this is just a basic. All these tools are really basic, and if you guys are really interested and if you guys enjoy the stream, you can just send me a mail on this one. Any queries or about about the stream, or do you guys if you guys really want to learn something a bit more, something more interesting, or in the same line of Wi-Fi cracking, a more reliable tool, I would actually do a stream. uh, it would be depending upon you guys, right? So if you guys have any queries regarding this, that's my mail ID right there, Mohit. And if you guys have any queries on a general basis regarding ethical hacking, you could mail Pranav this mail. He is our ethical hacking director, so I'm sure he'll be glad to help you guys out on anything. So, so that's it, I guess. See you guys in the next one.